2 babies. 5 days apart. Same father. Same house. And only one woman in that house knew the whole truth. On September 27, 1997, Maria Shriver gave birth to Christopher Schwarzenegger. 5 days later, on October 2, 1997, the family housekeeper gave birth to a boy named Joseph.
Arnold Schwarzenegger's son.
While Maria was recovering from childbirth, nursing her newborn, the woman who vacuumed her living room was in a hospital across town delivering Arnold's other child. And Arnold said nothing. For 14 years, he said nothing. This is the story of a secret that didn't hide in the shadows. It hid at the breakfast table. To understand how this happened, you have to understand what Maria gave up to be with Arnold in the first place. When they met in 1977, she was American royalty. A Kennedy. Her uncle had been President of the United States. She was carving out a serious career as a broadcast journalist, earning her place in newsrooms that did not hand anchor chairs to women easily. Arnold, meanwhile, was a bodybuilder from Austria with an unpronounceable last name and a dream. Muscles and ambition, but no connections, no pedigree. Her family thought she was marrying down. She chose him anyway, when he had nothing but a vision. They married in April 1986 at the Kennedy compound. 500 guests. Oprah Winfrey in attendance. The wedding of the decade. And over the next 11 years, they built an empire. 4 children. Arnold became the biggest action star on the planet, earning $20 million a film. And Maria gave up her anchor chair at NBC to support his career, raise their family, be the partner he needed. She traded her byline for his name, her career for his campaign. From the outside, they were untouchable. But here's where it gets complicated. In 1991, the Schwarzeneggers hired a new housekeeper named Mildred Patricia Biener. She was hardworking, reliable, and over 20 years, she became part of the household fabric. 5 days a week. Cleaning their home, helping with the children, becoming invisible in the way only trusted staff can. Then in 1996, Maria and the children went on vacation. Arnold stayed home. And during that time, in the same house where he and Maria were raising their family, Arnold had an affair with Mildred. Not in a hotel. Not at some distant location. In the home his wife had built for their children. Both women became pregnant at the same time. When Joseph was born, Mildred listed her estranged husband as the father on the birth certificate. Arnold knew the truth, or at least suspected it, but he convinced himself otherwise. In his own memoir, he wrote that he tried to believe Mildred's husband was the boy's father. But as Joseph got older, the resemblance became impossible to ignore. Same jaw. Same build. Same walk. He knew. He just chose not to say it. And Maria. Maria knew something was wrong before she knew what it was. Small things. A look held too long. A name spoken with too much familiarity. A second cup of coffee poured for someone who shouldn't have needed it. She would approach Mildred and say, "I'm here if you need to talk." Every time, Mildred said no. For years, Maria's instincts were screaming. For years, everyone around her kept quiet. Meanwhile, Joseph Biener grew up under that roof. He attended the same family gatherings, the same birthday parties, the same Christmas mornings as his half-siblings. Catherine, Christina, Patrick, and Christopher had no idea the boy playing in their yard shared their father. Nobody told them. Nobody told him either. By the time Joseph was 8 or 9 years old, the resemblance was the kind you couldn't explain away. Staff noticed. Friends whispered. And Maria heard those whispers. She kept asking. Mildred kept denying. Then in 2003, Arnold announced he was running for governor of California. His political team swept for scandals, found allegations of groping, found stories from movie sets. Arnold survived all of it. But they never found the boy. Joseph was 6 years old when his father became governor of the most populous state in America. And through both terms, through 8 years of being one of the most scrutinized politicians in the country, Mildred continued to clean the governor's house and raise the governor's secret son. Arnold said nothing to Maria, nothing to his political team, nothing to the consultants who had spent 8 years digging through every corner of his life. Think about that for a moment. He was the chief executive of the 5th largest economy on earth. He had press secretaries, security details, opposition researchers. He had enemies waiting for him to slip. And the boy who looked exactly like him, who lived in his house, who played with his children, never became a headline. Not because the secret was hidden well, Because the people who knew it were the ones without power. The housekeeper. The household staff. The people whose livelihoods depended on staying quiet. And then in 2010, while still in office, Arnold quietly purchased a house in Bakersfield, California, for Mildred. Less than a year before he would admit to fathering her child. He was settling accounts, preparing for the exit. He knew the truth was coming. He just wanted to control when it arrived. On January 3, 2011, Arnold left office as governor. The very next day, Maria booked a couples therapy session. She didn't tell Arnold why. In that therapist's office, she turned to him and asked directly, "Did you father a child with our housekeeper?" 14 years of lying collapsed in one sentence. He admitted it. But here's what makes it even more devastating. Maria already knew. Before that therapy session, she had confronted Mildred directly. She asked her point blank. And Mildred dropped to her knees and wept. She confessed everything. According to Mildred's own account, Maria cried with her, told her to get off her knees, and held her. That is not the reaction of a woman who was surprised. That is the reaction of a woman who had suspected for a long time and simply needed someone to finally stop lying to her face. 4 months later, they released a joint statement announcing their separation. 8 days after that, the Los Angeles Times broke the story to the world. In the weeks that followed, Maria disappeared from public view. She had spent 25 years building a life with this man. She had given up a career, raised his children, stood beside him through every scandal. And the biggest betrayal had been walking through her kitchen the entire time, growing taller every year, looking more and more like the man she had married. She described what came next in an interview with Oprah. She said it broke her heart, her spirit, what was left of her. She talked about sitting on a hotel bathroom floor in the dark. A Kennedy, a woman who had anchored national broadcasts, who had dined with presidents, sitting alone on cold tile, unable to make herself stand. The grief didn't come in emotional waves. It came in physical ones. The kind that seize your chest and close your throat and make your hands shake so hard you can't hold them still. She stayed there, minutes, maybe hours, the kind of crying that empties you completely. And in that moment, she said something to herself. She said, "Maria, this does not have to be the end of you. Make it a new beginning." She was not grieving the man. She was grieving the dream. The partnership she believed in. The life she thought she was building. She filed for divorce on July 1, 2011. The divorce wasn't finalized until December 2021. 10 years of private negotiations. No courtroom drama. No public accusations. She gave the tabloids nothing. Arnold has since built a relationship with Joseph. They trained together. He attended Joseph's college graduation. He has publicly acknowledged him as his son. But Joseph has never been folded into the family Maria built. In September 2025, Patrick Schwarzenegger married his longtime girlfriend. Catherine was there. Christina was there. Christopher was there. Maria was there. Arnold was there. Joseph was not invited. The verdict was delivered without a single word. On National Siblings Day, Patrick posts a tribute to his brothers and sisters. Catherine is tagged. Christina is tagged. Christopher is tagged. Joseph is not mentioned. When the siblings gather for holidays, the photos that surface show 4 people around the table. Always 4. Never 5. Joseph exists in Arnold's world. He does not exist in theirs. That is not Joseph's fault. He was a child who grew up not knowing who his father was. When he found out at 13, his response was a single word, cool. He thought he was gaining something. He didn't fully understand yet what he would never have. But the children Maria raised remember what his existence cost their mother. They remember the years of whispers. They remember the day the story broke. They remember watching their mother put herself back together piece by piece. And they have made their feelings clear, not with statements, but with quiet, consistent, undeniable absence. If you look at Maria Shriver today, you would not recognize the woman who sat on that bathroom floor in 2011. She rebuilt. She hosts the Sunday paper, a newsletter with millions of subscribers. She became a leading advocate for Alzheimer's research. She carved out an identity that had nothing to do with Arnold Schwarzenegger. And she became a grandmother. 3 grandchildren through Catherine and Chris Pratt. Maria is present. She is involved. She is there. She and Arnold co-parent. They show up at the same events. They sit in the same rooms. Maria said in 2025 that they have a great relationship and that there will always be love there. She also said she does not want hate in her body toward another person. Not a single drop of it. It would have been easy to burn everything down. It would have been understandable. 25 years of marriage, for children, a career sacrificed, and then a fifth child she never knew about growing up in her own house while everyone around her pretended not to notice. But she chose to rebuild instead. She sat on that floor, told herself to get up, and got up. Arnold got the son he hid for 14 years. He has a relationship with Joseph. They work out together, they post photos together. But he does not get all 5 of his children at the same table. He does not get the unified family photo. He does not get the legacy without the asterisk. Every biography will include this chapter. Every profile of his children will note that there is a 5th one who is not in the frame. He built one of the most remarkable careers in American history. Bodybuilder, movie star, governor. But when people remember Arnold Schwarzenegger, they will also remember the 14 years he kept a secret child in his own home while his wife made breakfast in the next room. Maria Shriver did not just survive the most humiliating revelation of her life. She walked through it. She sat on that bathroom floor, told herself to get back up, and built a life that didn't need his name attached to it anymore.